Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Tesla Life number 138. Here we are in February, third day of February. No, it's March. It's March 3rd. You guys didn't
we are time travelers.
You guys were good with that. So here we are in March already. Oh my goodness. This show's already off the rails. So we'll move on quickly to our hosts with us tonight, Mr. Patrick Connor. On the west side of the country. How are you today, sir?
I'm good. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Tesla Life, where we look at this incredibly awesome, ludicrous future that we're all going to have, where we are moving beyond fossil fuels, using renewable energy. It's a good time. Welcome. I'm happy to have you here.
Very good. Very good. And, of course, our friend Casey in the D.C. area. How are you today, sir?
Doing pretty well. Just swimming through traffic. Navigating on autopilot, it does really well with people who are road raging, and I can't even keep up.
And I just happened to notice today, Casey, that in the D.C. area, you guys are getting a number of new superchargers are springing up. There's a couple under construction. There's 3, I believe, under permit. Yes. Things are looking good in the D.C. circle, for sure.
One of them is exclusively an electric charger. Is a Wawa. It's not done. Yeah.
Excellent. So cool. I'm sure I know some reviews will be coming to the Casey Green's channel in the near future. As soon as they start giving out juice, Casey will be there.
In fact, we just published one that apparently went offline after we tested it, and it should be back online shortly in, I believe it's Ashburn, Virginia.
Ashburn. Okay. Ashburn. Very good. Well, let's get to the news, because the news waits for nobody, and there's a ton of news. It just keeps rolling out here for Tesla. One of the I guess the other side of things, Tesla Energy. There was a story about PG&E, which is California's one of the main electricity utilities in California. I finally got the green light for Moss Landing, a 1 gigawatt hour battery. I guess it's going to be a battery storage or substation or switching station that is going to help with the distribution of energy in California. So as we have seen in Australia, as we have seen in some smaller places, east coast of Canada, some east coast of the United States, Connecticut, Vermont, but this is a large utility scale, kind of like the Australia one, that will be placed for PG&E. So they will start to benefit from the quick switching abilities and hopefully remove some of the need for those gas peaker plants that are currently in operation in many different areas in California. So this is exciting news. It's great to see one stateside. And hopefully we'll get some information about this as the build starts. And certainly, maybe after about 6 months, we can see what kind of efficiency this has brought PG&E.
Certainly. The Australia plant, it got more praise heaped on it this week as well.
That's right. And as we reported a few weeks ago, they're actually increasing the Australian size by 50%. So we had heard about new packs of batteries that were going in by the truckload to fill that mandate. So yeah, great news all around. So now we've got something to point at in North America, where other utilities can start seeing this large scale of battery storage. So great to see.
Yeah, that's awesome. A more reliable grid, a grid that can have more renewable energy, where it doesn't have to be energy generated and consumed with instantaneously, but you can have the storage in between. This is awesome.
Also,
absolutely.
Speaking of storage, the wind actually managed to make itself cheaper than both hydro and natural gas last week.
That's right. Yeah. So that was a generation, as generation goes, the more they can collect from wind, the cheaper it gets. And I guess it had that ability to beat other generation ability or other generation charges. So fantastic.
Yeah.
So get more of that as it goes along.
Yeah, you don't have to build any pipelines to get the wind there. It just happens.
It just happens.
On the internet, of course, crazy stuff happens, and we have a few crazy stories this week. But this is the first one that I really didn't catch wind of until it actually made the news here. There was basically this ongoing thing about Elon being a time traveler. So it's interesting to the fact that someone got this photo of a gentleman taken in an ancient photo, and of course there's a resemblance to Elon. There's no question, but of course Elon got wind of this through Twitter and replied back that no, he was not a time traveler, but he did admit he is a 3,000-year-old vampire. So at least we got the straight news from Elon. He may not be a time traveler, but he was probably there in that picture because, of course, vampires live forever, and that's why he was in the old photo.
It would explain Elon time.
Absolutely.
Right. When you're 3,000 years old, there's no hurry. There's no reason to.
and if you're a time traveler, you just get your days wrong.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. Yeah. How's the time traveler's chant go? What do we want? A time machine. When do we want it? Whenever.
It doesn't matter. Oh, man. Also, in the news this week, of course, we've been hearing about the Model Y. It's coming. It's coming. There are many different posts about it. In fact, I was sharing one with Patrick just before we went on to air. That a trailer full of Model Ys were spotted on the 401 in southern Ontario, heading to destination unknown, but on their way somewhere. So this was spread on Facebook and Twitter. It's not confirmed. I guess you would have to call it a rumor at this point until we get confirmation from multiple people, but we'll certainly be watching for that. And if you want to hear when we know it, follow us on Twitter at The Tesla Life or through our Facebook feed, The Tesla Life #1. Which Patrick curates our Facebook page, and we thank him for that, always being on top of things.
So I have to take this moment to do a little mea culpa. A couple months ago, there were these. We were talking about how a Tesla store in Canada said, "Be ready, we're going to get the first ones here," and I was like, "No, that's just not going to happen, Canada. I'm sorry," but it looks like Tesla's taking a different tact with the Model Y. And I think this is a great idea. Instead of starting around Fremont and then spreading out, they're doing more the salt and pepper method and spreading them across North America so that when they start getting delivered later this month, they're the best way to sell a vehicle is to get someone to see it, test it, feel it, or ride in it, try your friends out, whatever. And so spreading them across the continent like this is going to allow more people to get to see them sooner, and Canada's included in that, and I'm sorry I dissed you 2 months ago. My brother.
Well, again, it's still a rumor at this point, but we'll certainly keep on top of it and find out if the couple of reports that have been tabled are correct. But that would be certainly nice, and it's a great move by Tesla to spread them around, and like you said, getting them in the eyes of people being able to see them multiple different places, more and more people talking about them. It's just going to help things. Definitely.
How many stores do you have up there?
Oh, in the Toronto area, we've got 3 in the Toronto area. We've got one that's about to open in Ottawa, one that's about to open in Kitchener. And then we, of course, they could be going to Quebec as well, to Montreal, where Quebec is going to have a subsidy that's going to be running out soon. So the rumor might be that they're shipping them to Montreal to get those Canadians that have a rebate about to expire. So that could be part of the move. That could be part of the move too, because that's exactly what happened with the Model 3. The rebate was running out in Ontario, so they shipped a few thousand to Ontario to allow some of those people with reservations to cash in on that rebate while it was still available. So that could be still the case, but definitely we'll watch it, see what happens.
Yeah, a buddy of mine wants to get one for his wife, but he needs to see it before they can put a purchase down.
Well, tell him to see it in a photo. He'll be good.
I told him that eventually the store here will get it, and more likely one of the club members will have it first, and he can look at that.
Now, another thing about the Model Y was that unlike the Model 3 rollout where there was one flavor, it was the rear-wheel drive, it was the long range, it was the premium interior. That was all you could get.
Premium black interior.
And you could have any color in interior as long as it was black. So that was the one flavor they gave out. But apparently, with the Model Y release, they're releasing not only the all-wheel drive, but the performance at the same time. Mm-hmm. So they'll be shipping out two types of cars at the same time. So it looks like they're manufacturing. They've gotten one up on what happened with the Model 3. We'll definitely have to see if they can keep up with the numbers. But it's good to see that they're rolling out two flavors at once, get more cars into the market faster.
They also have the black and white interior, as well as the black interior.
Right. So you can get those different interior colors. So. Yeah.
I'm curious though, because they use the same motors. It's just obviously, supposedly, allegedly, as Russell would say, the performance are binned higher. We have no indication one way or the other than what Tesla tells us. So I can see different seats coming down the line. That's not too difficult. And then you just put different suspension on when it goes down the line. So it's not too difficult to put this variation out there.
Yep.
It's a good thing they did though. That way they're not all top trim.
That's right. Want some variety. Get them into the hands of more people. Next story. Tesla Model 3 picks up another award, this time as the UK Car of the Year. It wins the coveted steering wheel award from the UK, which leads me to believe is when these things go all autonomous, what is their award going to be then? Handing out a steering wheel that car has no steering wheel. But at this point, it's relevant, and they've won the 2020 UK Car of the Year. So another award to put on the Model 3's shelf of many awards at this point.
Very cool.
Which is great.
A particular steering wheel would be a crash nightmare.
Yeah, it's a wooden steering wheel, so it certainly may have some problems. Definitely.
Yeah, no airbag, not recommended, but
no
still a great award.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do not try this at home, kids.
For sure.
Now, as you may know, last week we talked a little bit about the Hacksmith half-scale CyberTruck that was going to be being unveiled in Kitchener, Ontario. Hacksmith is a YouTube channel that they build a number of different prototypes that are popular in popular culture, films, comic books, many things along that line. And they decided that they couldn't wait until their order came in for the CyberTruck, and they would go ahead and produce their own at half scale. So we were able to get there on Saturday, and we've got some film of it that should be able to share here. Let's see if we can get the. Can't go.
Okay, and the back looks familiar.
There we go. Can you guys see this?
Yeah.
Yep. That looks fast.
Yeah, it's pretty quick. Apparently, it has over 650 foot-pound torque. They did a number of different. They did a number of different tests with it, which would include pulling an F-150.
Full size.
So yeah, full size. And they put some blocks of cinder blocks in the back of it to give it a little bit more weight, and of course that certainly helped. But they also were able to, of course, on the inside, you can see in this photo, they've actually got an iPad mounted for the software, and the software does control from the iPad. They're able to flip the charge port door open. They control the lights. They can bring up a mapping system. It was really well done. Very impressive. You do, of course, enter the vehicle from the top. There are no doors. When you go half scale, there are certainly a number of things you have to give up, and that would be one of them. It is a two-seater. It's got obviously a towing ball on the back, and the tailgate does fold down into a ramp even. So a lot of attention to details. It is made out of stainless steel. It is bent, just like the real Cybertruck will be. There were a couple of flaws on the exterior. Looks like they had some issues with some of the bending. But overall, this was an extremely impressive vehicle. It's a dual motor. It's got a fantastic lighting system on it. Front, rear lights, Cybertruck light up license plate. It was really impressive what these guys were able to do with this vehicle. They said they spent about $50,000 to build it, and of course, this being a YouTube channel, they're really not selling it. All they're doing is they make it, and then they include it in their videos, and they make money, of course, from the advertising that happens on YouTube. And Hacksmith is a large channel. I believe they have about 8 million subscribers. So it's a group that certainly is well funded to do something like this. And we also got a tour of the Hacksmith, I guess the creation lab, and we were able to see a number of the different projects that they have ongoing, and some of the completed ones that they've completed in past months and years previous to this. So our hats off to Hacksmith. Fantastic for them to host an event, let us come out and see and film and see the Cybertruck. Now, the inclement weather here in late February when this happened, certainly you'd rather it be a little bit warm weather for this because in the front, there is no blocking from the wheels. It's just open air. So if you drive through a puddle or slush, some of it gets sprayed on the inside. It's kind of a messy thing. This is a fair weather vehicle that they've designed here. And again, for limited space, they can't really box it in. You got to have room for your legs to get up to the front. But fantastic of them to let us see it, and we appreciate the viewing.
Clever.
I'm just amazed at the fact that YouTube allows people to make enough money that they can just go do cool stuff like this, and it's somehow profitable for them. It's just amazing.
Yeah, it is. It's I guess if you've got the right idea, you can get the viewers, and you are self-supporting at that point.
Yeah,
full-time YouTube, that'd be fun.
I just watched a video where they made a trampoline that could handle a car, and they dropped a car on it, and yeah. So there's some cool stuff out there. I'm not exactly sure what the point is, but hey, you know what? Maybe that technology someday will come in handy for some other very important purpose.
That's right. You never know when a trampoline is needed to support a car. Next, Casey's got a story for us about the Fremont Police.
Yes. So the Fremont Police, they had come across or come into possession of a Model S a couple of years ago. I don't remember if it was a used car purchase or a seizure.
It was used.
Okay. And apparently it's done so well that they are now getting ready to consider purchasing their next several Tesla vehicles. And it looks like the Model Y is their primary candidate, which is awesome because it costs a lot less than a legacy car from Tesla. The Model S and Model X are still up there.
Hey, exactly. Don't call those legacy cars. Come on.
I drive one of those legacy cars.
No, legacy cars, the ones that burn gas. Those
are fossils.
I refuse to allow you to call
anything. Fossil legacies.
Yeah, exactly.
They're not discontinued like the original Roadster.
Yeah. But it's interesting that the Fremont Police bought a used one, so they got it at a better deal. They outfitted it in full police gear, push bar and all, and they were the first police department to try it out, see how it would work.
They've got unlimited supercharging as well.
Yeah, they exactly. So that cut their fuel bill right there by a ton. They don't even have to, they just go plug it in at a local Fremont supercharger and they're good to go. But
why are we still Gen 1s?
Oh, that's true. Okay.
Why would you upgrade these?
So that's great. They've had success with it, and so much so that they're thinking of possibly a Model Y as their next selection. So that would be great to see. Maybe with the first rollouts, they're getting one. So we'll have to watch and see, because of course, I think the Model Y with its higher roof line might be a little bit better for a police department, especially maybe putting someone in the back.
I was thinking,
if you were locking them in, maybe a little bit taller would be a better thing. But yeah, that's very cool.
And eventually, they should get a CyberTruck.
Eventually, that's right.
Yeah.
The hard part for the Model Y, if you're going to use it for transport, is the seats fold down, so you'd have to put all your weapons in the front.
Yeah, I'm sure they would. I would sure they would retrofit the back completely.
I'll just remove it.
If they were going to use the whole people around, they would put in the plastic bench, I'm sure, and just block up the back area with a cage or whatever. And
you wouldn't want someone folding down the seats, crawling into the trunk, pulling the emergency release, and just escape. I think they probably have thought of that. I'm hoping.
We hope they have. For
they
sure.
will soon.
I can guarantee it would only happen once.
Yeah. Arrest rates in Fremont plummet because the criminals keep escaping.
Oh man, that's like an episode of The Simpsons right there. Chief Wiggums has no idea what's going on.
I heard the Ford Transit's coming back. Pull them over with the Tesla, and then put them in the Ford paddy wagon with the 100
That's
mile
right.
range.
You call the paddy wagon to pick up the criminal. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Our next story is kind of a departure from regular stories, but this is came across this on a paranormal channel. There's a channel called exactly cue the Twilight Zone music. There's a channel on YouTube called Nuke's Top 5, and they are a paranormal channel, as mentioned. They picked up a story off of Reddit. And what the Reddit story was saying was that this particular owner of a Model 3 was coming home. He parked his car in his driveway, and the car was showing a person standing off to the right side of the car, passenger side, against their garage door. But of course, when looking up, there's nobody there. It's just pulling something, or it's suspecting there's something there, and showing it. So again, this paranormal stuff is this certainly could be just a ghost in the machine, a problem with whatever. But they had indicated that this driver, when reached out to, said that they were getting a weird feeling while sitting in the car in their driveway, and decided to lock the car and get out. And from that point forward, they never saw this situation occur again in their driveway over the next couple months. So
this is just a false positive. It's not a paranormal event, but this is funny. Yeah.
And I'm sure it is. It's just that this Nuke's Top 5 have grabbed onto this through a Reddit thing, and I don't know if they made up the paranormal thing themselves, but they certainly said they did reach out to the owner and they talked to him a little bit. Now, whether the owner thought there was a paranormal thing involved, or it's just weird that, as they mentioned, ghost in the machine showing you a false positive. It was kind of interesting to see it portrayed in that way, and certainly it'll be in the link. If you'd like to go see how Nuke's Top 5 presented it, you can do so after the show.
So, speaking of pedestrians and the full self-driving preview, yesterday I was going to work and I was coming down the garage, and there was a construction worker, or at least somebody in a high-vis vest with a hard hat. I assume he was a construction worker because we're having construction right now. He was kind of lazily walking alongside the path, and the car thought I was going to run him over. So he turned red on the screen,
Oh,
and then
really?
it gave me the collision warning. And I was like, "What?" He was walking, and I was doing the speed limit, which is 5, and the car
But
said, "You want to kill
he
that
was
guy?"
not walking in the path of the car. He was walking beside the car. Or
Um,
was he in the path of
he
a
was oncoming
possible...
traffic.
Okay.
He was oncoming traffic for the car because Model S is or Model X is she's a big girl, and and I was a little over the center line, and apparently it thought that he was in danger of me.
Okay. Well,
Yeah, your car's warned you about running people over several times. There's a security guard and now a construction worker.
But this is the first time it gave me the collision alert. It's usually just
Oh.
numb the pedal, and this time it's like, yeah, no, imminent. I'm like, I'm not gonna hit the guy. I'm watching him.
Casey,
Yeah.
we're starting to see a pattern.
Yeah, it doesn't trust you at all.
It
Now, Patrick, he is only telling us the ones he didn't hit. So
right?
we
Right.
There's
We
that.
really don't know.
Likely story.
There's
Casey.
that, and they
Yeah.
probably flagged my account after we got hit by the truck and the other one. So, you know.
Yep. It's like, we know you've got blood in your eyes.
You did the last one.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I've seen it. Not my car, but a story. There was a child wearing an orange shirt, and it identified them as a cone.
Exactly. Yeah.
Just recognize there was something there you shouldn't hit.
Yeah. Someone in an orange shirt is definitely a cone-like. So
here in DC, there's a lot of construction going on, obviously, but there's a lot of those little stick pylons, and my car will sometimes try and get out of the passing lane to avoid the cones, and I have to tell it, no, stay in the lane. It's a better choice than going 12 miles an hour, 20 miles an hour slower in the other lane.
Oh man, yep, always fun with the new visualizations. And Elon says there's more coming. Nope, that's
End of the month,
story a little,
hopefully.
but, another little short clip we hear from our Twitter feed. Just so you know, as mentioned, Model Ys are on the move, and many people are filming the car carriers as they're moving along the road. Hopefully your passenger is filming and you're not filming as you're driving, but there's much evidence of these vehicles that are now moving around on the roads, which is great to see.
Two things with that. A lot of people pointed out that the shiny bits on that one on the bottom back, and it is very likely that's just a protective coating because you notice that the camera on it is black, and then the one above it is all black. So the theory was that, they might be bringing chrome back because the Model Ys are all shipping, at least as far as we know, with chrome delete from the factory.
Right.
And that one kind of threw them for a loop because the protective film, with the way the light was hitting it there, looks like chrome.
Looks like chrome, yeah.
And then there was another story on Twitter last week, where somebody had finally noticed that the operator tags on the backs of those semis actually say Tesla Inc. because they bought the company, 2 years ago now?
Oh, okay, so now they've got identification stickers on them.
They probably had them, but it's the first person to actually photograph it.
Okay.
And put it on Twitter. So yeah.
Next story we've got is a little bit about the Cybertruck boosting sales today. So you may ask, how can a vehicle that's not being sold and is only taking $100 reservations boosting sales for Tesla today?
Halo car.
Well, apparently, what's happening is many people are starting to go to Tesla sales offices to talk to sales representatives about the truck, about its capabilities, have questions, thinking they can get answers from the people with the most experience, and they're learning more about what's available from Tesla today. And a number of people are deciding, hey, why don't I pick up a lease of a Model 3 or something short-term to get me 2 years down the road so that my Cybertruck will be ready by that point. And apparently, there's been enough of that that the Tesla financials are benefiting from it, because there are many people that are either buying leases or purchasing outright, or trying to be put in contact with people that are returning vehicles, Model S's, Model X's. There's many different scenarios where they're ending up purchasing or leasing something and boosting sales today as they wait for the Cybertruck.
You know what it is? They get in and do a test drive of the Model 3, Model X, Model S, and then they get back in their fossil and they turn right back around and they buy themselves a Tesla, because the experience is just night and day.
Yeah, getting butts in seats is huge. Once you've driven a really great electric car, you realize that everything else just pales in comparison. This thing that has thousands of explosions per second rattling down the road, belching out deadly fumes, just doesn't make sense anymore.
Yeah. My first experience with the Model S 85 and P85, they changed my outlook, and I couldn't get back into the Volt and be happy with it anymore. and then they came close to my town, and we drove up, and I got to drive the P85 Plus, and that thing, it felt like my brain was moving back in my head, and I had to make it happen.
Yeah,
I'll never forget my first, I guess, ride along in a Model S. I believe it was a P85 as well, and I've never had the sensation of my eyes being pushed back into my sockets deeper as the car took off from a light. I've never had that experience in any other vehicle, and that was certainly unique. And having him show autopilot, which in that point was version 1, was miraculous as well to see happen up close.
Yeah. Did it make you dizzy?
Didn't make me dizzy, but it's certainly whetted the appetite for the Model 3. I knew what I wanted. I knew what it was going to be like, and it didn't disappoint when we picked up our Model 3 back in 2018, coming up on 2 years now. So, fantastic.
What was your first Tesla experience there?
So mine was the Seattle store came down here to Portland and set up a test drive demo, and this was back with the original Roadster. And so we were tooling around. We got on the freeway, and the sales guy says, "Turn up the radio." And as I reach for the radio, he hits the accelerator, shoving me back away from it. He just thought that was hilarious. It definitely had some giddy up. That was fun.
The $100 bill challenge.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow.
No, if you ever get a chance and haven't yet, go to a dealership, test one out, take one out for a spin. You'll love it. We may get you to buy a car, but you'll love it. You'll definitely love it.
Yes.
Next, Casey's got a story about the New Jersey Turnpike. What's happening in New Jersey, Casey?
So y'all may have seen me do supercharger reviews in Jersey, but I always had to get off the turnpike and drive forever away to get to it. Well, there are actually 2 existing stations on the Jersey Turnpike, and now Tesla has gotten together with the Transit Authority. What do they call themselves? The New Jersey Turnpike Transit Authority. And they are now installing stations at a more reasonable distance than at both ends of the road, and it is going to be awesome. They're going to be V3s, and they must accommodate third-party charging stations. So they're going to assume pre-wire or trench. Would be awesome if they just put them in, and then somebody just pays them a fee to cap it off with their DC fast charge unit and call it a day. But anything that it takes to increase the ease of traveling long distance in these things, which is already pretty easy. You just put in your destination and the car will take you there. And now you don't even have to get off the freeway.
Exactly. So 58 new V3 superchargers to be installed, added to the, I believe, 12 that are already in existence.
Oh, they're coming
at those other 2 locations that are like 10 minutes apart. Yeah. But now the full 120-mile route is going to be covered by these now. I guess that would be 70 some chargers total. at multiple different sites. And the great thing is that they're going to be at, I guess, the New Jersey Turnpike rest stops.
Yes.
Those places where you typically get gasoline or food, they're going to be built into those. And I think that's another plus. I think you guys would agree, allowing Tesla to wire up for the DC fast chargers for other electric vehicles. I think that's a win-win. And I think New Jersey's probably doing it right. That makes sense. If they're going to donate some of the land or rent out some of the land for parking for these electric vehicles, why not have all electric vehicles in that area, in the same area? And I think that's a win for Tesla as well, because if someone is charging their Bolt or their Kona, you know what? They just look across the way and there's a row of Teslas. Nothing like whetting your appetite for your next vehicle if you can see a row of Teslas. And man, they seem to be leaving a little bit quicker. And boy, those are nice looking cars.
Yes.
So all that comes into play, and I think is in Tesla's favor as well.
Yeah, and then, I mean, when you look at how many charge points they've installed, not the company, but the individual units, like they're counting for the article, the 12 is 6 stalls and another 6 stalls. They're installing these things day in and day out. So why wait for the permitting and then to find a local electrician, the blah, blah, blah. Just, hey, Tesla, just, you know what you're doing. It's 500 volts. Make it happen, and then we'll cap it off. And it just makes sense. And like Mark was saying, when you're sitting there in your Bolt or whatever, and you see 3 sets of different Teslas come and go before you even get to halfway, I mean, what is your next car going to be? But,
well, it all depends. I mean, maybe
you might not have
I'm sure there's plenty of people that are perfectly happy with Bolts or Leafs or whatever, and good for them. That's great.
There's nothing wrong with it.
It doesn't have to be Tesla.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be, but it's definitely something you would think of if you see them rotating faster than you. But this goes further than that, though. New Jersey is now finally on a kind of a green kick. They also brought back increased their subsidy for the electric cars. So
cool.
You get a little bit of a tax kickback when you
from the state. Excellent.
From the state, yes. And so this kind of goes hand in hand with that, because now not only can you charge your whatever electric car you just bought, you can then travel throughout the state, which is awesome.
And if you have an electric car in New Jersey, you can fuel it yourself.
Yes.
Unlike your gas car, where you have to have someone fill it up for you. New Jersey and Oregon, the only 2 states that don't allow you to pump your own gas.
Oregon changed late last year, so it's just New Jersey.
In the rural parts of the state.
Oh, okay. They partially did?
Yeah, they partially did, yeah.
In my review of the Paulsboro, New Jersey supercharger, I had a little chat off camera with the one of the fuel attendants. I'm like, why don't you have to do this one? It's dangerous. It's 400 volts. He said that they don't have a way to make money off of it.
Said, there you go.
Not everybody gets it for free.
That's funny.
And they weren't pumping electrons for free. There's no way. So they got to make money.
Yep.
Oh, man. $11. Not enough.
Exactly. Our next story, again, a little bit about the why. We had a person that was able to get a few shots of a Y beside his 3, but was even nicer was he was able to get some interior shots. And there's the dreaded third row of seating area, which, of course, in the new cars, there is no third row. They're all 5-seaters. But just showing you the space with a bit of the hatch in view. And again, we know this is going to be a compact space. There's no doubt, looking at the car in many different ways, it's going to be tight. It's going to be more like a kid's seat if you do get those extra 2 seats in an optional third row. But not a surprise to us. Although looking at the seats here with the backs off, they look a little bit thin, don't they? Kind of thin. I don't know what all the mechanisms are, obviously to lower or to detach the seat so it flips down. But in this particular photo, it does kind of look a little bit weird. But we don't know for sure. We only have that one photo to judge by.
Well, didn't Chevy do that with the first-gen Volt? They made the seats a little thinner than normal?
Yeah, definitely. And you felt it. I can attest to that.
Yeah, so the trick is to make them thinner so that you have more storage space, but then make them still comfortable.
And strong
Exactly.
and safe.
Exactly.
Right.
That's what all that mechanism was. Yeah.
And here we are in the second row, and you can tell that apparently all 3 seating positions flip down independently. So it's not a 60-40 split. It's more like a 30-30-30 split, where the middle can flip down independent. And of course, that could be good for putting in like some longer pieces of lumber or things that have to go up the center in order to fit in the car. But that's a bit of a departure from, for example, the Model 3 or the Model S for that matter.
I wonder if they went with the 40-20-40 or if they just did 33 and a third all the way across.
I think you're right. I think it's more like a 40-40-20 or something close to that derivative.
Also, I don't know if you have a separate picture of this. Somebody pointed out that USB port is actually a Type-C.
There is a Type-C. Yeah. Don't have it in this. You can just see a slit or up in the center console where the 3 has it as well. But and the front seats looks like, of course, they're going to stick with the glossy console. I think that's going to be the same. Not a surprise. Again, it's following a lot of 70% of the parts used in the Model 3 are used in the Y. So not a big surprise for that.
They should have gone with matte. That way it's harder to damage it.
Harder to damage, but man, if that piano black could stay piano black without the fingerprints on, that would be spectacular, wouldn't it? Like, you wouldn't mind that if it didn't scratch or got fingerprinted up so easily. Maybe they got a new coating they're going to try out.
I was about to say they should get one of those coatings from the refrigerator manufacturers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of them have gone stainless steel or dark stainless steel, and they somehow don't show fingerprints. I'm thinking it's a coating, the oilophobic. That way it doesn't attach.
Right.
Yeah.
Our next story is about a replacement for the MCU for the older Model S's. What's with
legacies.
that, Patrick? I didn't say legacy.
Don't say legacy. Right? Yes. Okay. So if you have a Model S or a Model X that was made before March of 2018, then it has MCU 1, which means that you don't get all the games and you didn't get the Netflix or YouTube, and I'm in that boat. I have a 2016 Model X, and so my wife's Model 3, she gets all the fun stuff, and I don't, sadly. So if you would like to upgrade, now that is an option from Tesla, and for just $2,500, you can get a new MCU, and depending on if you have autopilot 2.5, 2.0, or 1, then the timing's slightly different about when that rolls out. So it's either now, later this month, or early April. So not a big delta depending on which version of the older Tesla that you have. So if you are interested in upgrading, and I say upgrading, but it's really mostly upgrades. There's one change that I've seen some people complaining about, and that's you lose AM, FM, and Sirius XM radio capability. And I just listen to podcasts from my phone anyway, so or the streaming services. So I'm not sure why anyone would be listening to terrestrial radio anymore. But if you are one of those folks, you might not want to do this because you would lose that capability. So there's a whole list of stuff here that gets added, and I'll just read off a few of the highlights. You can look up this article. If you're interested, it's Tesla MCU infotainment upgrade from Electrek. So one thing it does improve is the performance. And I've seen this a couple times where my daughter's in the car, we're playing some music, and she hits thumbs down on a song, and then the song keeps playing. And then she goes and she hits it again. But then by the time it registers the first hit, another song is started, then it registers a second hit, and now she's just thumbs down a song that she didn't mean to. Mm-hmm. And so there's that. And then, like with my rear hatch, the rear door, I'll push the close button, it starts closing, and then it makes the beep noise to say it's going to close. So there's just it's like half a second delay. But little things like that should all go away if you get the new MCU upgrade. All those delays. So better performance, faster touchscreen response. You'll be able to get Bluetooth album art. I talked about AM/FM. You get more Tesla Arcade, including Beach Buggy Racer, Cuphead, Stardew Valley. What else? You get karaoke and tracks. And I'm not sure why tracks is not included with MCU one. That doesn't seem like it's that intense of a requirement game, but
I've seen people bog it down on MCU too. So,
yeah.
Really?
I just maybe it's the memory to store. I don't know. It seems like you should be able to do that. Some enhanced driving visualizations if you have the full self-driving capability, and which would not apply to me with my Autopilot 1 system. Records from all cameras for dash cam and Sentry mode cars with full self-driving, and it also supports 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi networks. So there you go. That's if you're interested in upgrading. The cool thing about this is, as silly as this sounds, like there's the upgrades screen in the app, and I've been going there, and it's always blank for me. And now I'll have something there. I'm probably not going to do it because it's $2,500 to play games when I can just go do that in my wife's car instead. But $2,500 is the cheaper upgrade path compared to the one that Casey took.
yes,
How did you upgrade your MCU, Casey?
I got a whole new car.
Right, so those are your two choices. If you must upgrade, you now have 2 options to do it.
Yeah. So there's a couple good things about this timing. Is a lot of people's MCU ones are starting to fail with the eMMC wear out issue. So if you can get this done before it wears out, or as it's starting to go, you can actually get this upgrade instead of paying $2,000 for a replacement MCU one that's going to have the problem again. And a couple other things that came up with it is if you can get a full self-drive upgrade and you buy this and a full self-drive upgrade, you get to the front of the line on the install. And you also get your firmware updates a little faster than the other folks with this retrofit. On Twitter, Green the Only, at Green the Only, he just goes by Green is his username. He has found the official Tesla part numbers, which are not restricted, which means that even if you have a car that's been blacklisted from supercharging and everything, as long as you're listed as a Tesla owner, you can go and buy the tuner. It's about $250. But if you listen to terrestrial radio, you can keep that. When this news came out, I was like, well, I don't even know if I still have the interface for the radio, even though the hardware is still there. So I made that comment a bunch of times, and then I finally got off work and went down to the car and went to radio and found that I still do have AM, XM, and FM. So
Wow.
if you want to spend the extra $250, then it might be worth it to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, Patrick, you answered the $2,500 question. You are not getting the new MCU based on your driving habits and what you would use it for. So,
Right.
But I'm sure, like, especially if it's true as Casey had mentioned about the memory filling up, like for an extra $500, I would upgrade.
Yeah.
If,
Right.
that
Yeah.
would certainly make sense to me.
So
But,
that is one case where I would upgrade. If
Yeah.
it were going to cost me $2,000 anyway, and I
Yeah.
can get all this for an additional $500, well, yeah, then it's a no-brainer. But 5 times that amount, no.
Fair enough.
Well, it's like Elon said. He thinks that MCU one is fast enough. I haven't found any owners who agree with that statement.
Yes.
But for the price differential, yes, it is plenty fast enough, as Patrick said. But again, if it comes down to it, if it's an additional $500 and you already got to shell out, then why not just go for the more capabilities and speed?
Exactly. Well, that about wraps it up. And if you're watching the show at this point and you haven't given us a thumbs up button, what are you thinking? Come on, give us that thumbs up, and certainly subscribe if you haven't. It costs you nothing. It gets us in the eyes in front of more people and grows the show. We would certainly appreciate your help in those thumbs up and those subscriptions and giving us a number. Also, as I mentioned earlier in the show, you can follow us through the week on our Twitter feed at The Tesla Life and on our Facebook feed, The Tesla Life #1. And we post those daily. so you can see the news that we report on and find as it happened. I wanted to give a quick shout out to the two individuals, Trevor and Ian, who are traveling across Canada from the West Coast to the East Coast. They left this morning from Vancouver. I imagine at this point they're somewhere in Alberta, about to go into Saskatchewan, as they head across the country, trying to do it in 3 days. Cannonball run along the Trans-Canada Highway. So good luck to you guys. Hope you brought your snow shovel for getting into some superchargers in Northern Ontario. But you can watch their exploits on Twitter if you search the Model 3 Owners Club and follow Trevor as they traverse the country. Let's go to some shout-outs to Casey for what have you got for us this evening, Casey?
Well, like I said, I've got the second of my published V3 Supercharger reviews. I changed up the format a little bit. So if you've seen any of my Supercharger reviews before, check it out. Let me know what you think. See if you like it, or if you have any comments on it. I'd like to hear about it before I go make another slew of them with this new format. And you can find that at youtube.com/KCGreen. That's KACEYGREEN.
Very good. We'll certainly be following up with those videos, and soon to be some of those new Washington ones. We can hardly wait and see those. Mr. Connor, how's about some shout-outs from you this evening?
Sure. You mentioned Trevor. This is one of his shirts. So yeah, shout out to Trev. And my next shout out is to the Oregon Electric Vehicle Association. I am a member and do a lot of their social media outreach work. So you can find us at oeva.org. And we're on Facebook and Twitter, posting a bunch of EV news on there all the time, which is why earlier I was clear to point out, hey, it's not just Tesla. All EVs are good stuff. If it plugs in, that's good stuff.
And then the fossils.
Yes. Get off the fossils. Yep. Kick gas. My last one is carswithcords.net, where I occasionally blog.
Very good. Very good. All right. With that, we'll roll the credits this week, the credit music. We want to thank Lee Moon, who provides that music to us every week. And,
thank you, Lee.
And we will definitely see you all again next week, and so we can find out what's going on in the Tesla life. Have a great week, everyone.
See ya.